2 weeks before her body was discovered, a security camera inside a hotel elevator captured something deeply disturbing. A young woman stepped inside. She pressed several buttons, but the elevator doors refused to close. She suddenly moved into the corner, as if she was hiding from someone. She leaned forward and slowly peeked out into the hallway, but no one appeared on the camera. Moments later, she stepped out of the elevator and began making strange movements with her hands, as if she was speaking to someone who could not be seen. Then, she walked away down the hallway and disappeared. Days later, guests at the hotel began complaining about something strange. The water coming from their faucets looked dark. Some said it tasted unusual. When maintenance workers climbed to the rooftop to inspect the water tanks, they made a discovery that shocked the world. Inside one of the tanks, they found the body of a 21-year-old student named Elisa Lam. What happened inside that elevator that night? And how did she end up inside a rooftop water tank? Tonight, we open one of the most disturbing mysteries ever captured on camera. Welcome to the Enigma Files. Some mysteries slowly disappear as time passes, but others grow stranger the more people investigate them. The story of Elisa Lam is one of those mysteries. Even years later, investigators, journalists, and millions of internet users continue to examine every detail, trying to understand what truly happened. Elisa Lam was a 21-year-old university student from Vancouver, Canada. Friends described her as intelligent, thoughtful, and curious about the world. She loved reading literature, writing about her experiences, and exploring new places. Like many young travelers, Elisa wanted to see more of the world beyond her hometown. In early 2013, she decided to take a solo trip across the United States. She carefully planned the journey, visiting several cities and documenting her experiences through blog posts online. Her writing revealed a thoughtful young woman reflecting on life, culture, and the excitement of traveling alone. Friends and family followed her journey through these updates. They saw photographs of places she visited and stories about people she met along the way. In January of that year, Elisa arrived in Los Angeles, California. Los Angeles is a city filled with energy, opportunity, and endless activity. Millions of visitors arrive every year, hoping to experience the culture and excitement of the city. Elisa planned to spend several days exploring downtown Los Angeles before continuing her trip. She checked into the Cecil Hotel, located in the heart of downtown Los Angeles. The hotel had been standing there for decades. When it first opened in the 1920s, it was considered a luxurious destination for travelers visiting the growing city. Businessmen, tourists, and entertainers stayed there regularly. But over the years, the neighborhood around the hotel began to change. Economic struggles, crime, and poverty slowly transformed the area. As the decades passed, the Cecil Hotel developed a darker reputation. Many disturbing incidents had taken place inside the building, including crimes, mysterious deaths, and tragedies. Because of these events, the hotel became known for its unsettling history. But travelers who booked rooms there were often unaware of the building's troubled past. When Elisa checked in, she likely saw it simply as an affordable place to stay while she explored the city. During the first days of her stay, everything appeared normal. Elisa explored the city during the daytime, visiting bookstores, restaurants, and tourist locations. She continued writing blog posts describing her experiences traveling through the United States. Her posts showed excitement, curiosity, and sometimes personal reflections about life and travel. But after a few days, something began to change. Her family noticed that the regular communication they expected from Elisa suddenly stopped. Usually, she stayed in contact, sending updates or messages about her trip. But now, there was silence. At first, her family assumed she might simply be busy exploring the city. Travel can sometimes interrupt communication, but as more time passed, the silence became more concerning. Days went by with no phone calls, messages, or updates online. Eventually, her family contacted authorities and reported her missing. The Los Angeles Police Department began investigating. Officers first searched the hotel where Elisa had been staying. They spoke with hotel employees and examined the room she had been using.
Anything else?
Nothing inside the room appeared disturbed. There were no signs of forced entry and no evidence of a struggle. Her belongings remained inside the room, as if she had simply stepped out and never returned. Investigators then began reviewing security camera recordings from inside the hotel. Hotels often rely on surveillance cameras to monitor hallways, elevators, entrances, and other areas. These recordings can sometimes reveal important clues during investigations. For some time, investigators found nothing unusual, but eventually they discovered footage from one of the hotel elevators. The video showed Elisa Lam entering the elevator late at night. At first, the moment appeared ordinary, but as the footage continued, her behavior began to raise questions. Elisa stepped inside and pressed several buttons on the control panel. Normally, this would cause the elevator doors to close and the elevator would begin moving toward the selected floor. But in this case, the doors remained open. Elisa slowly moved toward the corner of the elevator. She pressed herself against the wall as if she was hiding from someone outside. She leaned forward and looked out into the hallway. But the hallway appeared empty. She stepped out of the elevator, then suddenly jumped back inside. She pressed more buttons on the control panel. Still, the doors did not close. Her movements became more unusual. She stepped outside the elevator and began making strange gestures with her hands. Her arms moved slowly through the air, and her fingers stretched outward as if she was explaining something to someone standing nearby. But there was no visible person in the hallway. After several moments, she walked away down the hallway and disappeared from view. The elevator doors finally closed. When investigators watched this footage, they were immediately confused. They could not determine exactly what Elisa was reacting to. No other person appeared in the recording, yet her behavior suggested that she might have been interacting with someone. Eventually, investigators released the footage to the public, hoping someone might recognize something helpful. Instead, the video created a worldwide mystery. Millions of people watched the strange elevator recording online. The internet quickly filled with discussions, theories, and debates about what might have happened. Some viewers believed Elisa might have been hiding from someone standing just outside the camera's view. Others believed she might have been frightened by something unseen. Another detail also confused viewers. The elevator doors seemed to behave strangely. Why did they remain open for so long? Why did the elevator not move even though several buttons were pressed? Some people speculated that someone outside the elevator might have pressed a special button designed to keep the doors open. Others suggested the elevator system might have malfunctioned. The more people watched the video, the more questions appeared. While the internet debated the meaning of the footage, investigators continued searching for Elisa Lam. Days slowly turned into weeks. Then something unusual began happening inside the hotel. Guests started complaining about the water in their rooms. Some said the water had an unusual color. Others said it tasted strange. A few guests even reported that the water pressure seemed weak. At first, these complaints seemed unrelated to the missing person investigation. But eventually, hotel management asked maintenance workers to inspect the water system. The hotel stored much of its water supply in large tanks located on the rooftop. Maintenance workers climbed up to examine the tanks and determine whether something was affecting the water quality. One of the workers opened a tank to inspect the inside. What he discovered would soon shock the entire world. Inside the tank, they found the body of Elisa Lam. The discovery immediately raised disturbing questions. How did Elisa reach the rooftop? Access to the roof was not simple. Certain doors were locked and alarmed. The water tanks themselves were large metal containers positioned high above the building. Climbing inside one would have required significant effort. Investigators now faced an even more complex mystery. Not only had Elisa disappeared, but she had somehow ended up inside a rooftop water tank. Detectives began reconstructing the possible path she might have taken. Did she climb the stairs? Did she use the fire escape? Was someone else involved? The strange elevator footage made the situation even more confusing. Investigators examined the video repeatedly, searching for clues that might explain her behavior. Some experts suggested that her actions inside the elevator might indicate fear, confusion, or distress. Others believed the movements might suggest she was reacting to something unseen. The elevator itself also became a focus of investigation. Technicians studied the system to determine why the doors had remained open for so long. Eventually, it was explained that if several buttons were pressed in a certain sequence, the elevator could remain open longer than usual. But even with that explanation, the footage still appeared unsettling. Why was Elisa pressing so many buttons? Why did she repeatedly step in and out of the elevator? And who or what was she reacting to in the hallway? As investigators continued examining the case, they also began looking deeper into the history of the hotel itself. Over the decades, the building had been connected to crimes, mysterious deaths, and disturbing events. These incidents had created an eerie reputation around the hotel. When the news about Elisa Lam spread across the media, the building's history quickly became part of the story. For many people, the location itself seemed to add another layer of mystery. The public fascination with the case continued growing. News stations discussed the story. Online forums filled with theories. Some people attempted to analyze every second of the elevator footage frame by frame. Others tried to reconstruct Elisa's movements throughout the hotel during her final hours. But despite the intense attention, the case remained filled with unanswered questions. Even today, that short, silent elevator video continues to circulate across the internet. Each year, new viewers watch it for the first time, and almost everyone who sees it asks the same question. What really happened to Elisa Lam?